Hello, everybody. So welcome to our final day in our employment series. So we've had a really wonderful month learning all about different employment supports available in our community and all the steps that it takes to, start looking for a job, to apply for a job, to get supports in the workplace. So it's been a really enlightening month. I've learned a lot, and I hope you have too. So today we're going to be talking about job searching. So how to look for a job, what are some of the strategies you can do when applying for jobs, and especially focusing right now, there's so many options for virtual work and also virtual job searching, so looking online. So yeah, that's going to be our focus today. So Dan, if you want to start our presentation, that would be great. All right, wonderful. So searching for a job. All right. Okay, so this first slide, we're just talking about where to start. So how do you even know where to begin when you're looking for a job? So Dan and I had talked about this, and something that's really important is you want to do something that you like, that you're going to enjoy. So if you want to focus a little bit on your interests, some of your skills, what goals do you have for your future? What kind of experience have you maybe already had in your own life, whether that be through volunteering or just hobbies, things like that, and your education. So Dan and I thought that this might be a good opportunity for us to share a little bit about our own experiences with our job sort of life, what that looks like from the beginning. So I'll share my story first if you're interested to hear. So I'll tell you sort of my post-injury job experience story. So I was injured at the age of 18, sustained a spinal cord injury, and right away went back to school. And so shortly after, when I started university, I needed to get some sort of job to help pay for books and other things and to support myself. So my first job ever after my injury was actually at Home Depot. So I went into Home Depot. I had always been interested in home renovations. I loved working in my garden at home. I loved building things. When I was younger, my dad, he was a gas fitter, and he would take me on jobs with him. I was like his little sidekick, and I would help him. I knew different tools and all that kind of stuff. So I thought this would really line up nicely with some of my life experience. But let me tell you, I was very nervous to apply for my first job after my injury. I thought, these people are gonna like judge me or think like I can't do this. I'm not physically able, but I went in, and honestly, I am so glad I did, because it was such an incredible experience. I worked there for almost the whole time I was in university. I started off in the garden center, which was perfect. I ended up working in flooring. And I actually used to run the flooring demos and teach people how to install tile. It was pretty cool. It got to be, it was a very empowering experience for me. So, and it also was like a good way to get back into the workforce post injury. And so after university, I actually went and worked at a not-for-profit for a little while, working with people with spinal cord injuries. And that one was a really great experience too. Of course, there was tons of accommodation, and they were very supportive of my disability, and that was wonderful. But ultimately, I was thinking at the time about becoming a lawyer. So I wanted to go work at a law firm for a little while to see what that culture was like. And so I went from the not-for-profit to work at a law firm for a couple of years. And it was very challenging for a number of reasons. One, it was in downtown Toronto, so the commute was sometimes hours long. And then the work was pretty heavy. It was great and rewarding and wonderful, but it was a bit more than what I had thought it was going to be like. So I'm glad I did it that way and didn't go to law school first and then realize that I had to work 70 hours a week. So after that, I got back into school, and I worked at a bank for a little while. So I have a degree in economics, and I thought that would be a good fit with my education. So I worked at a bank for a little while. And then from there, worked back in the disability community, and ultimately here at ILC. So I've had, kind of a funny story here and there, picking up different jobs based on my different interests, right? Things that I'm working on or thinking about working in whatever sector. So it's been great. It's been a great experience, and I've got to work with a lot of really wonderful people. And ultimately working at ILC is such a good fit for me. And I'm able to use a lot of the experience that I gained in those different roles in my role today. So I'm really grateful for each and every one of those opportunities along the way. So that's my story. So if Dan wants to tell his story, I think that everyone would love to hear it.
Well, I can't promise everyone will love to hear it, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So, you know, I think the reason we wanted to share our stories with you today was that, you know, not everything is linear, right? So not everything is, you know, you're young, you set a goal and then you achieve it and then you live happily ever after. Not that that doesn't happen. It does happen. It can happen. But I think for a lot of people, their career path is a little bit curvy, right? Up and down, and you don't always end up where you thought you'd end up. You know, when I was young, I went to University of Waterloo, and I mean, honestly, I don't even remember what I thought I was going to be. I just know that I was young and I was having a good time. And my first job was actually with Independent Living Center. I was the receptionist. So many of you know Jim. I can guarantee you that Jim is a far better receptionist than me. And I did that for a little while, and I didn't know where the future was going to go. I remember they asked me if I wanted to work on their website. And at the time, I had no idea. Now, remember, this is many years ago before websites were like what they are now. We're talking very basic pages. And they said, Dan, you want to work on the website? And I was like, sure, why not? I didn't know anything about websites. But, you know, I learned a lot of skills in doing that. And I took some courses in website. And it actually ended up starting, for me, what's been a lifelong side business, I guess you would say. I started out designing websites for clients of all different sizes and all different products. And in the last several years, I'm actually specialized in accessible websites and accessible documents. So now I don't really design websites anymore, although I still have a few clients. What I do mostly is actually consult. So I consult with companies on their accessibility of their products or websites and their documents, and I can do some of that work as well. So that's sort of that side of it. But that's not my day job. That's just like my side job. My day job, actually, I don't know if some of you know, but years ago in 2003, I ran for political office. And when I was running for office, I got a phone call from a parent. And they said that their child who had a disability had seen me on TV in probably one of the debates or whatever. And that their child all of a sudden was like so inspired that they could do anything. And it really impacted me deeply because I thought, wow, you know, I do have a lot of good opportunities, and maybe I should help other people and work with other people with disabilities to sort of help, I don't know, get them involved, get them in the community, show them how to be independent, whatever it was. So that actually started my day jobs over the years. I've worked for a couple of not-for-profits, all of them working with people with disabilities. And that's led me up to this point where, you know, again, I'm working with Independent Living Center in my role as a community resource coordinator like Sheri, but also as the virtual programs coordinator. So you can see that, right? 25 years ago, I had no idea what I was going to do. And here I am doing what I love, right? On 2 different accounts. So yeah, you never know where the journey is going to take you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that, Dan. Yeah, I think that's something really important to remember when you're looking at, you know, looking into different professions. It doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you sign up for today is what you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. Because yeah, like you saw, Dan and I have done a number of things, and ultimately we've ended up in a role that's, you know, in roles that have worked really, really well for us and really suited us. But it took a bit of a zigzag to get here. So, all right,
I
Dan.
think they say, Sheri, the average person undergoes, what is it, like 7 career changes in their life?
Yeah.
So I'm only on like number 4 or 5. So
Yeah.
I still have a couple in me still.
Got a couple in you. Yeah. I might be closer to 7 or 8, but we average it out. All right. If you want to start the presentation back up again, and we can have a look at the next slide. All right, perfect. So keeping all that in mind, you know, what type of jobs line up well with with, you know, your interests, skills, goals. Like I said, my Home Depot job was really about my interests and hobbies and things that I had experience in. Education, the bank job lined up for that. Yeah, so just kind of what lines up well with the experience that you have. All right, next page.
I'm wondering if anybody wants to
Oh yeah.
comment, Sheri, on maybe some things that. So when we look at this slide, right, we talk about so interesting goals, and as we said, you know, they may or may not directly relate to your career or your job, but sometimes they do. So as we move forward, we're going to sort of explore some different job sites or whatever. But I was wondering, does anybody have any interest or goal they'd like to share? And then maybe we can sort of use that as a way to find out what's out there later on. So we have obviously Olivia and Alana are on the line with us. I wonder if either you want to either speak in camera or message with something that you are interested in, or maybe a hobby or something that you're passionate about. Oh, we put them on the spot, Sheri. Oh, here we go. Oh, well, writing. Okay, so we have Olivia who said writing. She's written a book.
Oh,
so
amazing.
I think that's fantastic. That's great. That's a great passion.
Perfect. That's
all right.
wonderful.
So, and if Philane, if you want to chime in later on or whatever, that's good too. But why don't we move forward and then we can sort of see where this takes us.
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. So when you're first starting out looking for new jobs, there's a number of places online that you can look. So there's a whole bunch of online private job databases. So we have Indeed and Monster, Workopolis, Charity Village. This is a really good one if you're looking for work in the not-for-profit sector. So that's only exclusively not-for-profit jobs. So those are some of the private job databases. And then there's also an online government job database, which is jobbank.gc.ca. So you can have a look in there, and they have not just government jobs, they have all sorts of jobs in there. It's just sort of formulated a little bit differently, but we thought we would have a quick look at a couple of these. So if you want to maybe click on one of those, Dan.
Hold on, I've just got to switch it over. Yep.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh goodness, I've got everything all over the place here. Hold on. Where is the screen? Oh, there it is. It's my first time using Zoom, folks. My apologies. All right.
Here, Dan, if I'll let you do you want to navigate the screen here? I'll just mute myself.
Right. So I'm not sure if any of you have been to Indeed or any of these other job sites before. Like a lot of them are similar. The purpose of these sites is basically they get employers who post jobs on these sites. And then through their various search algorithms, they try and match you with appropriate jobs that you're looking for. So we'll just go like an example here. So Olivia, you had said writing. So let's search for writing. Oh, hold on. Forgive my slow typing. I've got to use my one finger typing when I'm not able to dictate. I could dictate, but you guys would probably wonder what the heck I'm talking about. So there we go, writing. And then we'll go to Waterloo, Ontario. So we're going to press find jobs. Right. So let's just like, well, a brewing operator. All right. I don't know if that has to do with writing, but here we go. Program coordinator, right? A parental leave, studiosity, English tutors wanted. So you can see like several jobs will come up, and not all of them are going to be a match. Some of them are going to use the keyword writing, but it might just have that keyword in there somewhere. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's like relevant to being a writer. We could refine the search, right? So instead of just saying writing, we could say creative writing or technical writing, right? And see if that would refine our search. But let's just say, for example, that we're going to go with one of these jobs that pops up. So we're like, oh, English tutor. I've always wanted to be a tutor. So you can just click right on the job and it will bring up a description on the right-hand side. And typically in these descriptions, it'll tell you all about the application. So who is it with? What are the qualifications? What are any other details like how much money you're going to make? What are the hours of work? Is it a virtual position or not? So you can see there's quite a bit of information. Now, companies vary. Some companies put a lot of information. Some companies won't. So you can do a couple of things when you get the post. You could either give it a heart, which means you can like it and come back later and look at it again, or you could just apply. So let's see what happens if we apply. So it brings you right to their website, right, where you could apply on their website for the job. Some other posts will have different ways of applying. It might say submit a resume through Indeed. So we're going to look a little bit about that right now. So if you want to, another way to work with Indeed, besides just searching for jobs, is that you could actually create an account. And I've just got some windows in the way here. I've got to move over a little bit. So I have this account. So I use this account actually to hire attendants to work with me. So I use Indeed. So as an employer, I actually post when I want to hire somebody. Say, for example, I'm hiring somebody for a dinner shift. So I'll come in here and I'll actually put the details, right? And then I get resumes through here. But you can set up an account and you can upload your resume. Right here, there's a button on the main page to upload your resume. So if you're here for the first time, you can create an account. You can upload your resume or build a resume. They have resume building tools. So it's like a word processor. Okay, I don't want to get all into it, but here, let's close this. But you can see right, you can add your title, you can add your name, your details, your experiences. So it's actually a really good full-on site that helps you to connect with employers. And if we go back to the PowerPoint, you'll see that each of these sites is very similar. I'm not going to go through them all, but Indeed, Monster, Workopolis, those are all sort of for-profit corporations looking for work. Not all of them are for profit, but that's sort of just general work databases. Whereas things like Charity Village is exclusively for not-for-profit, right? So if you're looking for a job, we'll talk more about this later, but if you're looking for a job that was maybe working with people with disabilities or working with other groups, then maybe Charity Village would be the place to go looking. And then Job Bank, I will click on there and I'll share it again. So Job Bank, they have a section for persons with disabilities. And you'll see here it says job seekers, right? You can learn more. So they have a whole process. So these are government jobs, right? And you can sign up and you can receive alerts and the whole business. Sheri, did you want to comment anything further on this one or?
Sure. So if you just scroll up a little bit, you can see that you can create, or scroll down, I guess.
Yeah,
so
hold on.
Nope, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can actually sign up there. So if you sign up, I mean, we don't have to do obviously the process, but it's very similar to the Indeed process. So you're going to sign up and you're going to put in like some keywords, maybe some experience you've had or education. So you have your email and so forth. You're going to sign up. And then it actually will target jobs for you that match maybe some of the keywords that you've put in there. So writing, proficient writer, things like that. Or if you've had experience in certain other industries, you can put them in there. So this one's actually a really good one to use as well. And of course it's free, which is great. So so we won't go through all that, but those are the different websites that you can start looking for work at. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next slide?
I will say that Alana sent a message that she likes working with horses. So there you go. That's another search thing. And the thing about horses is it would probably open up a lot of opportunities to work at maybe the Humane Society, maybe work at various stables. Right. So there might be some jobs there through that. So
Yeah, or even like a racetrack, like there's so much opportunity in that as well. I actually have a good friend whose daughter just got a job at a stable because she loves riding and she rides competitively and needed money to pay for her horse because horses are expensive. So she got a job at a stable and it's helping to help pay for some of her park boarding. So that's wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna, oh, your screen just shrunk.
oh, you got it back?
No, we could just see the.
All right, hold on. I gotta fix that. Hold on.
Okay.
I had a feeling. So I have two screens, because I'm fancy,
You
and
are?
and it was on the one screen. I tried to move it to the other, but yeah, that didn't work. So here we go.
Okay. All right, perfect. Is this the next slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I thought there was one in between. Nope, that's fine. Okay,
Oh,
so
well, here I can check. Hold on. Oh.
oh
Nope.
no, you're right. Sorry. Okay, awesome. So these are some job search support services. So agencies that work, and I just chose ones that work specifically with people with disabilities to help you in your job search process. So they can help you from everything, basically everything that we've talked about in this whole employment series, from helping you with your resume to job search like we're doing today, working on interview skills. They can help with job placement. So they work directly with employees and employers. So they can make those connections for you. So they're actually very useful. So if you want to start with Employment Ontario, if you want to click on that one. So I believe that this one is just sort of a generic, like a general employment support service. They don't, this one I didn't, yeah, so you can choose ones that are more specified to people with disabilities. This one's just Employment Ontario. So this one is just for anybody who's looking for work, find a job. So either whether you're an employee or an employer, you can go here. So find a job is what we would click on, looking for work. And it will take you through a process of different supports that they can offer you. So you can find many things under here. So, if you want to have some more training, so find an adult learning center close to you that's going to help to prepare you for work. Get help. So if you've been laid off, say as a result of COVID or something, and you want to have a little help with that, or you can find jobs there. You can click in, like they have an example there. So nurse in Guelph or part-time clerk in Windsor. So anything like that, if you were looking, writer in Waterloo or, working with horses, like anything like that, you can put in there. So, yeah, so there's lots of employment services available. So if you under there, you'll see resources for job seekers. So find an employment service or training provider in your area to help you find work or training. That might be a good place to start as well. So
I couldn't resist. I had to search horses.
Look at that, horse trainer, groom, horse racetrack. See, I knew there was a horse racetrack. Horse stable foreman or forewoman, like lots of opportunities there. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So this here is a bit more like the job search option. But the job support options are just to the right there. So find an employment service or training provider. If you were to click on that, just under resources for job seekers. Yep, perfect. And then you just tell about what kind of help do you need. So do you need help looking for work, training or upgrading? Do you want to get an apprenticeship? Or are you an employer looking to hire someone? And then you just continue on through what's your postal code and then any other services. So under that, I believe there's an option to choose disability. If you click on the all groups, the third drop down. Persons with disabilities. Yeah, awesome. So if you were to click on that, if you wanted to disclose, you can click on that and then fill in your other info. So employment services, I guess.
Yeah, let's try. Okay, employment services. Perfect. And then tell us where you are.
Yeah. Really? Sorry, we're making you type today, Dan.
Seriously, I'm getting this is my physical workout for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Waterloo. I'll just say Waterloo because it's easy to type.
Yeah.
Waterloo, Ontario, persons with disabilities, go.
Awesome. Cool. And then it gives you right there's some contacts. So a lot of these are being done remotely anyway. So in this case, they're giving you Toronto, but you could connect with them remotely. Likely it's going to be through a Zoom call anyways, or on the phone. So this is an employment service agency. I guess the closest one that they have to Waterloo would be in Toronto, was this one. But if
that's a little weird, because I know there are some in Waterloo region. So
I'm wondering if it's because we just specifically chose employment services. If you were to choose one of the other categories, there's likely other stuff closer. But that's just an example of what you can do on this website. So yeah, if you wanted to go back to the presentation, and we can,
instead of changing the screen share, I'll just say, so next, do you want to do access employment, job skills, or discoverability?
Access employment. Yeah, that one's good. All right, so this one is through Employment Ontario, which is the organization we were just looking at, but this one is specifically for employment services for people with disabilities. So this one, you can just go to job seekers if you see the link right there. Perfect. So programs and services, there's frequently asked questions, resources, information, community resources. There's tons of information on this website. So if you just want to click on programs and services, so we can have a look, see what they have to offer. So there's job search support. So similar to what we're talking about today, how do you find a job? And then there's sector specific programs. So you can have a look in there. That's more for newcomers in that situation. Oh, they have a mentoring program. We're going to be talking about a mentoring program a little bit later, but you can see maybe what that's all about. So there's a few different mentoring programs available there, which is always a great way to get into a new field, do a little job shadowing with someone and see if that's something you're really interested in. Yeah, so this is a great website as well. And there's many of these. So we don't want to spend, too much time on each of them, because they're kind of similar and they do take a little bit of time to have a look through, but feel free to visit any of these if you're looking for job search supports. All right.
Cool.
And if you want any of this information, just let us know.
Yeah, we're happy to send out. So just so FYI, so we will post this video on our YouTube channel. I hope that all of you are already subscribers, because we do post a lot of great videos on there from these workshops. Also, if anybody wants, we can send out this PowerPoint presentation. That way, you can just click on the links in the PowerPoint. You don't have to worry about typing them in. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So this page, the first two links are job fairs. So basically the way they work is it's all virtual right now, which, is great. You don't have to drive out to, say, Toronto, where a lot of the job fairs usually are. And you just click on there and a bunch of different job fair options will come up. So there's actually one happening at the end of April. They're also free. You register on there. And when you're in the job fair, basically it's like you're in a conference center, that idea. And there's different links all over to different companies. So there'll be like an Air Canada logo. There'll be, a Walmart logo. There'll be all these different logos. You click on them and then they have listings of different job postings that are available. So it's a pretty cool thing that we can access that virtually. But Dan, the one that I really wanted you to talk about was that Disabilities Mentoring Day. So if you wanted to chat about that a little bit.
Absolutely. I'll just switch over screens. So Disabilities Mentoring Day is a great initiative that was started several years ago by a local tech company. I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of Dolphin Digital Technologies. They're a local tech company. And part of their whole mandate is to promote and to employ persons with disabilities, especially as it relates to, for them at the time, is especially related to the tech field. They saw that working in the tech industry was a real barrier-free opportunity for people with disabilities to work in. So they really took that as one of their champion issues, and they formed their whole business model around it. And then from that, the owner Jamie Burton. She started this initiative, Disabilities Mentoring Day. So each year, this organization matches people with disabilities with a potential employer. So what they do is they seek employers in our community, oftentimes through the tech field, but oftentimes not, just regular employers. And they will sort of build a profile about what they're looking for in a candidate. And then at the same time, they'll find participants who sign up, and you fill out a survey, right? Really focusing on what are your interests, what are your strengths, what are things that you like to do. And then they'll make a match with an employer. And then in October each year, although it's a little different with COVID, I'm sure it was virtual, but traditionally what you do is you actually go to the place. So for example, I participated in this many years ago. So I went to a tech firm and I spent the daytime there. And it was a full event. Like, they treat you to lunch, they do all these things, and you actually get to see what it's like to work there. And not only that, but then they actually speak with you and have an interview with you to find out if maybe it would be a good fit for you to work for their company. So it's a really great program. It's a great initiative. And what started humbly with a few places of business in Waterloo region, 10 years ago, is now a national initiative that has companies from BC to all the way to Newfoundland, like all across Canada. So it's quite a thing. So I would encourage anyone who is interested in getting a job or looking for maybe opportunities, or even just learning about different types of places, to visit this website and sign up, or find out when the next batch of matches will be happening. So yeah. FYI, I designed the website.
Oh, did you? It looks great. Yeah, that sounds amazing, because maybe you don't even know that something is something that's gonna be exciting to you, or something that you're interested in getting involved in. So this is a wonderful way to try out different things, right? To be connected with an organization, and maybe you'll find like a great fit. So that's awesome.
And there is a video on there if you want to learn more about it. There's all sorts of stuff. I know that registration is currently not open, so I'm sure if we go there, it'll say registration is closed, but it will open up at some point, probably in the summer, to get ready for next year. So yeah, it's really great.
That's awesome. Cool. All right. So if you want to go back to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Slave Master. Jeez.
All right, perfect. So yeah, so we have the job fairs. The one in the middle there is Intact Expo. So this one's just another type of job fair for educated professionals. So, someone who maybe has a degree and is looking for a job. But the Job Fair Canada, that first one, jobscanadafair.com, is a really great place to start if you're just looking for. Did you want to click on it? We can have a quick peek at it. I can show people kind of what it looks like.
Did it pop up, or do I need to switch over?
Oh, you need to switch over, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was hopeful. Trying some new tricks. Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of a busy site. So that's why I wasn't
It's not a very accessible site, I can tell you.
It's not. So that's why I didn't love the idea. But if you look to the left, you'll see featured job fairs. So if you scroll down, there's Central Ontario, so you'll see the different dates. So let's just click on that Central Ontario one. It's to the left. There's a few different dates there. So
Central Ontario. Okay, sorry, I was missing it.
No, that's okay. Yep. So you can click on the different dates. Yep, perfect. So Central Ontario, for example. So this might be something like in sort of Atlanta's neck of the woods. But yeah, so the Central Ontario Virtual Job Fair, so there's different dates. And then if you scroll down, you can see a list of the exhibitors, so the different companies that are going to be there. Oh my gosh, this is so not accessible. These are so tiny. But
yeah, I don't have a visual impairment, and I'm having a hard time reading this.
I can't see it. But those are all the different exhibitors that are going to be present at that one. So that's why I didn't really want to click on this one too much. It's better if you're looking at it on your own screen maybe, and you can zoom in. But so there you go. So there's Simcoe Employment. So there's different exhibitors that are going to be. So
Well,
that would be,
the good news is, Sheri, once you're in, if you press the side scroll, you can go through all of them.
oh, that's better. Okay. So yeah, so these are all, so there's like a bunch of food industries. There's some, that looks like a retirement home, things like that. So there's going to be all these different employers there. And yeah, so you can register on this website as well and ask for notifications of job fairs that are happening close to you. Right there, right, job seeker registration. So you can register there and then put in some of your information and where you're located. And yeah, so it's another cool way to find jobs. But yeah, they need some work on their site. Yikes.
They should hire an accessibility specialist.
I was gonna say you should contact them and be like, your site is a nightmare. Okay.
Yeah, I've tried that. It usually doesn't work very well.
No. Awesome. All right, next page. So, okay. So here is a list of other community agency supports. So agencies in our community that also offer employment supports. So Dan and I were looking through these, and some of them are just really, really great. And they have like amazing supports available and programs to help you. So we have the CNIB Come to Work program. So Canadian Hearing Services. So we have CNIB for people who are blind or visually impaired, Canadian Hearing Services. March of Dimes has a really good employment service. So if you want to maybe click on that one, that might be a good one for us to have a peek at.
The problem with having two giant monitors takes a lot of mousing.
Yeah, you're going to be tired. All right, so what can you expect from us? So they kind of just lay it out right there. So they have wraparound supports and services. They have, employer contacts. So they have connections with employers in the community. So these are the services that they will offer you. Job exploration. So kind of like what we're talking about today. What kind of job's going to suit you? Just help you, assess your needs and your strengths and figure out the best jobs for you. And then do an active job search as well as job prep. So how are you going to be best skilled to get and do your best work in that job? And then on the job support. So once you have a job, they're going to continue to support you while you're in the job. So if that means like assistive devices, things like that, they'll help you out. So the March of Dimes has a really good program.
So Sheri, this to me, for those who participated in the previous weeks, this is one of those service providers that we kept hearing about. When we listened to ODSP program talk about it, we listened to the Working Center and CCRW, right? These are examples of the service providers. So if you're with ODSP, for example, and you wanted to work with an employment service provider, March of Dimes is one that they might connect you with, depending on what your needs are, right? So sometimes ODSP will go to different ones, depending on sort of what your needs are. But March of Dimes is one of those service providers. I just mentioned that because I know that throughout our series, it's come up a few times about these sort of service providers and what they're all about. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So the other one, I thought, Dan, if you wanted to touch on the KW habilitation, because that one is one that you're a little bit more familiar with. And yeah, I believe the link was on there.
Right. So I will say for each of these, you can be referred by outside agencies. So for example, ODSP or Developmental Resource Center may also work with these agencies or refer you directly to them. Typically to work with some of these. So for example, CNIB, obviously that would be more for people who have a visual impairment, right? Canadian Hearing Services, if you have a auditory impairment. March of Dimes is a little bit more generic and focuses a lot on mobility. And then Spinal Cord, of course, also mobility. And then KW rehabilitation would be for anybody who qualifies for supports through developmental services. And then we'll just click on that to just show up here. So we work with one of our agency partners. So they are the manager of this program. And, again, a lot of great work connecting people with jobs. And I mean, I'm just trying to see here. So, so it talks about who is eligible. So through them, you do need a developmental services referral. So if anybody currently receives those services or is receiving passport funding, then this would be a place that might be a good starting point.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, there's so much support out there. It's just trying to navigate it, I know, can be a little overwhelming. And that's where Dan and I are always happy to help you find out which of these sort of agencies is going to be maybe the best fit, or what your first steps are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we know that from previous workshops that we did with the series, if you're on ODSP, if you receive ODSP, a really good starting point is to contact them. They are able to refer you. With that said, if you prefer not to go through ODSP, or you've had a bad experience going through ODSP, you don't need to go through them for employment supports. Your income maintenance or your income support will be managed regardless of where you go for your employment support. So that's not an issue. So you could go to these agencies independently and say, hey, I want a job, right? You don't need to go through ODSP. But if you're on ODSP, it is a good starting point because they can sort of help make those connections as well.
Help you navigate the system, which can sometimes feel a little overwhelming, but that's why we are going to give you a few little tips for job searching to help things feel a little bit more manageable. So something that's really important, as we looked on Indeed and some of the other job search, using those keywords is really crucial. So going back to your goals, going back to your interests, that's where those keywords are going to come into play. And then also limiting the search by your geographical location. So, right now, everything or most things are being done virtually. A lot of work is being done virtually, but at some point it might end up being where you're going into a workplace, even a few days a week or something. So making sure that it's a manageable commute for you is really important. And then searching by a specific company or line of work. Maybe you've had a really great experience with a certain organization. Like, for example, my first job at a not-for-profit was with Spinal Cord Injury Ontario. So I had been with them as a recipient of some services under their peer support program for years after my injury. And so when I was done school, I applied, and because I knew I really loved this organization and loved what they had to offer, and got a job with them. So that was wonderful. And then staying organized. So one thing that I found is really important is keeping track of when you've applied to different companies, like what the date is, what the name is, what the job was, just so that you're, keeping things controlled and you're not maybe accidentally applying for the same job twice, which doesn't look good. And then it also allows you to have timelines for follow-up. So when you've applied, you can give it a little bit of time, and you can always follow up as well. And then setting goals. So maybe don't say to yourself, I'm going to apply for 100 jobs this week, because that's likely not going to happen. It's going to be very frustrating because as we saw in some of our other weeks, it's not just a matter of cut and paste all the time. You might want to have a nice cover letter that's customized to the job. It's going to set you apart from other job seekers. So making sure that, you're saying this week I'm going to apply for 2 jobs or 3 jobs or whatever the case is. Just keeping that number attainable is really important. It's going to reduce the amount of frustration you have.
Yeah, Sheri, I'll just add on, when we talked about geography and the whole virtual thing, I think that's important to talk about just for a minute, because so two things to think about. One, there are a lot more opportunities out there right now for people who might otherwise have like geographical or mobility issues. So for example, it might be really hard for me to get to Waterloo every day to work, but a lot of companies now are starting to offer virtual, not just temporarily, but like permanently, right? Because the workforce is changing. With that said, as Sheri said, it's important to consider geography for a couple of reasons. One, if you are going to apply for a job that's virtual, find out if it's permanent or just temporary, because you don't want to be in a position where now you have to drive to Milton every day, right? And 2, depending on what the job is, being from that geography or knowing that geography might also be relevant. So for example, Sheri and I are resource coordinators, and we live in Waterloo region, and we're resource coordinators in Waterloo region because we're familiar with the area. It would be challenging for me to be a resource coordinator in, Pembroke, because I'm not familiar with Pembroke, right? I mean, I could still connect the dots, but so just consider geography a little bit, depending on what the job is. and certainly find out if any virtual arrangement is permanent or temporary.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points, Dan. All right, and I believe we have just some final tips. So setting realistic goals around the type of job you're willing to take, you know, sort of your physical limitations, if any, the hours of work, your commute time. Because like I said, that job I had at the law firm was glorious, but the commuting was a lot, you know, sometimes upwards of 2.5 hours each way in traffic, which really took a toll on me. So taking all that into account when you're applying for a job is setting realistic expectations is really important. And the other thing is, if you aren't able to find a job in a business or field that you're really interested in, look for a volunteer opportunity in that same sort of field and get some experience. You might be able to get your foot in the door, and many volunteer roles can lead to paid work. So my first ever job, and I talked to Dan about this yesterday, was working, I volunteered at a vet, and I used to clean the cages and take care of the animals. I love animals. And when I got to be a little bit older, they hired me as like a little vet assistant, and I got to work in the office and, you know, I got to like watch surgeries, which I loved, and got involved in like all the taking care of the animals and stuff. And that all started from me volunteering for them when I was about 13 or 14 years old. So there definitely is opportunities to volunteer, and it can lead to something more, which is great.
You know, I think that's a really important point to make. I mean, in today's world, I feel like such an old man when I say that, but in today's world, you know, competition for jobs can be pretty fierce, right? Especially there's a lot of people with a lot of degrees and diplomas. So sometimes it's really important to build relationships, right? As a way to get familiar with a company and get them to be familiar with you. And that might mean volunteering. I will add as well, as a person with a disability, sometimes that relationship is important because they don't really know my capabilities, right? I mean, I can go into an interview and I can present myself well, but they may have some fears around what my disability is all about, what sort of limitations it's going to impose. You know, and ideally we would live in a world where that was never an issue. But right now it sort of still is. So if you can build a relationship with somebody, if they know who you are, they know what your capabilities are, it's really going to go a long way when you want to turn that into an employment situation, right? So, I mean, regardless of disability, that's an important thing to do, but I think it really does help when you have a disability as well.
Yeah, for sure, Dan. Awesome. So that's the end of our job search presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
So, Sheri, I thought what we could do.
Sure.
I was thinking, why don't we stop the recording?
Sure.
Because our presentation is done. And that way, those individuals who are on with us today might feel more comfortable asking questions and having a conversation without being on camera. So I'm going to stop the camera. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. We're not the seasoned PowerPoint professionals. No. Maybe we thought we were, but we tried our best. So thank you for being with us today, and thank you for enjoying the employment series as a whole. Yeah. So I'm sure we will work towards more resources. And Sheri and I are both available for anybody who's watching this. If you want to reach out, find out more information, or work with one of us, ask us some questions, we're more than happy to do so. It's either Dan or Sheri, just Sheri R, right?
Sheri R, yeah.
Sheri R at ILCWR.org, or just call the main office and they can put you in touch with us. So thanks, everyone.